Welcome to Gozroth Tutorials. I'm Gozroth, and today we're going to add a button to our Noesis UI, and then when we click on that button, it's going to change the text on the panel. So just to showcase what we're going to do, we're going to be able to interact with our panel. Now we have this button, it says click me, and when I click on that, our hello world now changes to button clicked. So in order to show you how to do this, we need to go back into the Noesis Studio. And here we have what we ended up with in our last video. A text box on this grid, and it just says hello world. But now we want to add a button to this. So we're going to go to add element. We're going to go to button, and then we're going to click and drag our button onto the grid. And then we're going to change the content to say click me. Currently, the button actually takes up the entire grid. That's because we are currently set to stretch on the horizontal and on the vertical. We don't really want that, so we're going to manually adjust the width and the height. So the width, we're going to go with 200, and then the height can be 100. Now our button is on top of the text box. We want them to be stacked. So we're going to go up to panel and layout, and we're going to add a stack panel. We're going to click and drag that onto the grid. Then we're going to drag text box into the panel and our button into the panel. So now we have them stacked a little bit, but they're not where we want them. We're going to click on stack panel, and we're going to vertically center it and horizontally center it, but we can still do some formatting. So we're going to click on the text box, and we're just going to give it a margin of 25 all around, and we can do the same thing with our button. Now, if the button is a little hard to read, we can change the foreground to be something a little bit darker. Let's make it something like that. So the setup of our button and our text box is now complete. We want to add the data structure in order to create the command and the string variable so we can change it. So in order to do that, we're going to go over here to data, and we're going to click this plus sign, and then we want to create a structure. And we're just going to rename this to button structure. Now, when we click on that, we have some properties that we can create over here. We're going to create two properties. The first one will be called the button click event, and we're going to make it of type command. And then the other one we're going to create, and this is going to be the string variable that holds that hello world. So we're just going to call this the text box, and this will be of type string. So now we have our data structure created. However, we still need to create the data set. So we're going to go over to button structure and hover over this plus sign that says create data set. Create that, and now we have the data set. So now we can see our data values. So we can actually set our text box to say hello world. Now we need to assign this data to the root object, so our page. So what we're going to do is hover over that and click on this house with the plus sign. It assigns the data to the root. We click that, and now we can see we have this blue dot on page, so we know that data has been assigned to that. And we have this turquoise color here, knowing that this data set has been assigned to something. So now we can create our bindings. So we're going to click on our text box, and where we have text, we're going to click on our three dot menu, create a binding, and now when we click on our hamburger button menu over here, we have the button click event and the text box. We're going to assign the text box there, and we're going to do the same thing for our button click. And we're going to click on our button, and then under command, so this is what fires when the button is actually clicked. Right now nothing happens, but we will do the three buttons, create a binding, click on our hamburger menu, and click on the button click event. And now we can save. So Control S or hamburger menu, file, save. We're going to go to our asset library, right click on our old project, and we're going to hit replace. We're going to import the new version of the project, wait for it to import, and then we can drag it out. So we're going to place it, and we're going to do some basic cleanup like we did before. Make sure it's spun around so we can see it. Make sure we are selecting our root XAML. When we look at it, it should have click me, but notice that the hello world is empty. We do now have to create the TypeScript, so we're going to click on our Noesis UI object, click on attach script, and we're going to create a new Noesis UI script, and we'll just call this button click. And then once that is done being created, we will edit that script. So a lot of this default stuff we don't need. Now before we start working on the script, we are going to need to look at the XAML file. So go to the folder where you have the project, open the XAML file with whatever IDE you use. The two important things that we're looking for is our text box and then our button. And inside those, we are looking for our bindings. Here's our text box binding, and here is our command binding. So now we need to set up our data context. So we will create a private variable. We're going to call it data context. That will equal, we can say curly brackets, and then the first thing we're going to do is set up our button click event, and we're going to open up our XAML file, and we're going to just copy the command name, so button clicked event. Go back, and we're just going to paste that in there. And we're going to have that call a method, so it'll be colon, rounded brackets, and we're going to have that call this dot, we'll just call it button clicked. And then we're going to get an error because that method doesn't exist yet, so we'll go down here and create that quick. And then we want to set up our string variable. So if we go back to our XAML file, and we called it text box, so we'll go down another line, text box, and then we will just set that to hello world. And then when the world starts, we do need to set up the actual Noesis gizmos data context. So we're going to set it to what we just created. In order to do that, we're going to this.entity.as, and it's going to be of type Noesis gizmo. And then we will do data context, and then we're going to set it to this.data context. Now, the gizmo has access to that data context, and then when the player presses the button, we're going to then change text box to something else. This.data context.text box, and then we're going to say now it will be button clicked. So now we can save, and we can return to Horizon. And now that the script's attached, when we go in, let's make sure that our script's compiled. Okay, there we go. Now when I hit play, we notice that it says hello world now, and when I click the button, it changes the text to button clicked. And that is all I have for today's video. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns about the video, or if you have any suggestions for a future video, please let me know in the comment section below. Also, if you like the video, if you learned something, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you're notified of all my future videos. And yeah, thanks for watching, and have a good one.